Let's get to the news. Former President Trump held an outdoor rally yesterday in Las Vegas, and temperatures exceeded 100 degrees. It was so bad, Trump began exhibiting symptoms of heat stroke 10 years ago. As temperatures reached over 100 degrees at his outdoor rally in Las Vegas, former President Trump told the crowd that he was, quote, up here sweating like a dog, and he was immediately shot by Kristi Noem. At the same rally, Trump also said that he would eliminate taxes on tips for servers and bartenders by not tipping. In a new interview, I feel like they should give me 5%. I mean, what a story to wait on me. In a new interview, Dr. Phil asked former President Trump how former First Lady Melania Trump is doing, and Trump said, quote, I think good. I think good? That's not how you answer a question about how your wife is doing. That's how you answer a question about how your great Aunt Gloria is doing. I think good. I mean, I feel like I would have seen something on Facebook if she died. And in a newly released financial disclosure, Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson said that she received concert tickets from Beyoncé worth $3,700, which still only got her top-level obstructed view. It's like this. In the same disclosure, Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh said that he received a $340,000 advance for the book he is currently writing from the good people at Frommer's. Didn't get the graphic done in time. I feel like in the end that's a little unfair to the good people at Frommer's. That we would imply that that is how the cover of their book would look. Sometimes they go, there's one graphic that's not quite ready, and I'm always like, I probably won't notice. Did they think I'd notice less if they went full frame? Tiny box, tiny box, tiny box, big! All white, black letters. Like it just came out of the printer. Now they're all gonna be because I've been laying into them. They're just gonna start switching them all out. French President Emmanuel Macron hosted a state dinner on Saturday for President Biden, which featured a 4-course meal with champagne and an 18-year-old Bordeaux. That was a good year, said Matt Gaetz. Oh, a lot of Bordeaux fans. Waffle House announced recently it will increase pay for its servers so they can finally afford rent and self-defense classes. And finally, the U.S. Coast Guard has announced it has seized nearly 5,000 pounds of cocaine from a Florida port, a huge relief for all the nearby boats carrying 10,000 pounds. Hunter Biden was found guilty today on all counts in his federal gun trial and now faces up to 25 years on Hannity. According to a new analysis, First Lady Dr. Jill Biden's round-trip flight from France to Delaware to attend Hunter Biden's federal gun trial could cost taxpayers as much as $345,000. Say what you will about Trump, but he never spent a dime of taxpayer money to be with his kids. Rudy Giuliani was processed by a sheriff's office in Arizona yesterday in the criminal case over his effort to overturn the 2020 election and received a mugshot. Look at this. Is he looking at our cleavage? That picture looks like the last thing a Hooters waitress sees before she gets a 5% tip. The Biden campaign launched its Seniors for Biden initiative today, which plans to organize pickleball tournaments to rally support for President Biden, because if pickleball can be incredibly popular, even though it's lame and boring, then maybe. According to a new survey, the best amusement park in the country is Dollywood, finally beating out the attractions over at Jolene Land. Deserved more. A lot of Jolene fans in the audience. Researchers in London recently found fecal bacteria on poles and seats on the tube, while here in New York, the MTA uses fecal bacteria to clean the poles and seats. It's called sustainability. A 97-year-old woman in Utah recently received her high school diploma. Wow, 97. Man, she... Oh, see, here's the problem. I know the punchline, so I'm super bummed out you applauded. Like, what'd you guys think? There wasn't gonna be a joke on this lady? Son of a gun. A 97-year-old woman... A 97-year-old woman in Utah recently received her high school diploma. Wow, 97. Man, she must be dumb. Well, make sure she only sees the first half. Oh, I should probably studying for finals. And finally, a Long Island woman has filed a lawsuit against Cold Stone Creamery that claims their pistachio ice cream did not contain enough nuts. Well, I'm guessing her next order will. He graduated with that lady. President Biden released a statement yesterday after a jury found Hunter Biden guilty on all 3 charges in his federal gun trial. Also issuing a statement, Fox News. President Biden was endorsed today by 3 national senior citizen groups. I think we have a photo from the event. Oh, boy. Grandpa! New York Governor Kathy Hochul today hosted King Willem-Alexander and Queen Maxima of the Netherlands, and even they were like, wow, you guys have a lot of weed stores here. At a recent press conference, New York Mayor Eric Adams outlined new efforts to make the city more livable and said that people should be able to, quote, deal with some of the basic essentials of being a human being. But if you wanted to live like a human being, you probably shouldn't be in New York in the first place. Simon & Schuster announced it'll publish a new book about the Trump family written by former President Trump's nephew that will shed light onto, quote, the darker corner of the Trump empire. There's a darker corner? Isn't this kind of like doing an expose on Darth Vader? Turns out, in private, he's kind of a dick. Pope Francis reportedly used an anti-gay slur in a meeting yesterday with priests after being accused of using the same word 2 weeks ago. Man, if he keeps this up, they're gonna take away his Netflix special. He never smiles during this. The congressional baseball game was held tonight at Nationals Park. At least I hope that's why Marjorie Taylor Greene had a bat. You going to the baseball game? What game? A recently deciphered manuscript is believed to be the earliest known account of Jesus Christ's childhood. It's mostly just him yelling, "You're not my real dad, Joseph!" I actually can call you Joseph because you're not my real dad. That's what he does. He goes back to his room and it's like... Vermont State University recently awarded an honorary doctorate to a cat that has been visiting the campus for the last 4 years. So I guess the president of Kappa Sig has got to get a new nickname. I wouldn't say it, but I'd make you read it. I'd never say it. Here's a new nickname, Dr. Longarms. A Florida man was arrested while allegedly walking around his neighborhood fully nude, or as that's also known, a Tampa tuxedo. And finally, it was announced yesterday that Joey Chestnut will not compete in this year's Nathan's Famous Hot Dog Eating Contest because...
Oh, we're gonna miss that?
I don't even know why we're doing this one anyway. And finally, it was announced yesterday that Joey Chestnut will not compete in this year's Nathan's Famous Hot Dog Eating Contest because he has a deal with the vegan food company Impossible Foods. Incidentally, his record for those is still just one. President Biden traveled to Europe yesterday for the second time in a week. Man, he went to Europe twice in the space of a week. You know what I'd look like if I did that? I'd look like that. Senate Republicans yesterday blocked a Democratic bill that would have created new ethics rules for the Supreme Court. News that Clarence Thomas was pleased to hear when he pulled into port. The Biden campaign released a new ad today that ties former President Trump to the Capitol attack. Said Trump, "Cool, so did I." Former President Trump accused his political opponents of going after him and his supporters yesterday in a fundraising email and said, quote, "Haul out the guillotine," a reference to the French Revolution where the masses famously rose up in support of rich people like him. I left Les Mis early. I thought it was very long. I thought it was the one with cats. But I can never remember the title. During New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez's corruption trial this week, the prosecution's star witness testified that Menendez used a bell to summon his wife. Whoa! If I did that, my corruption trial would be the least of my worries. Authorities in California have announced they will not charge a second-grade teacher who was drunk in class because prosecutors determined that it is not illegal to teach while intoxicated. And I mean, sure, what's the problem? The teacher has a pleasant day and the kids learn to say the alphabet backwards. They can do it like this, they can do it like this. That's right, authorities in California determined that it's not illegal to teach while drunk. Said students, is that true in all 40 states? And finally, 16-time Nathan's Famous Hot Dog Eating Contest winner Joey Chestnut said yesterday that he was, quote, very disappointed to learn he will not be allowed to compete in this year's competition. You could tell he was depressed because he went home and ate 76 pints of ice cream in 10 minutes. And that was a monologue, everybody!